If some Miami Heat fans had their way, Andrew Wiggins might be off the roster already. The Los Angeles Lakers appeared ready and willing to take him off their hands earlier this offseason. The Heat kept him around for a reason, though. They probably know that he quietly holds the keys to whatever awaits them during the 2025-26 NBA season. And that's true regardless of whether they plan to move forward with him or not. Wiggins will either be a high-minute starter or a sought-after trade target. First impressions can be deceiving, and Heat fans would be wise to remember that lesson and apply it to Wiggins. Considering that he and the number 20 pick, later spent on potential draft steal Kasparas Jokic, served as the principal pieces of the return package for Jimmy Butler, expectations were up for Wiggins, and he fell well short of reaching them during his half-season-ish in South Beach. His shooting was erratic, his point production was all over the place, and he couldn't help Miami find its footing during a first-round sweep at the hands of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Remember, though, the injury bug hit him hard. He missed half of Miami's final 30 games, and he was having to navigate around a major mid-season trade that saw him switch coasts, conferences, and locker rooms. That's not intended to make excuses for him, but explanations often sound quite the same. Wiggins is a good player. Not a great one, not a load-bearing star, but an above-average starter who adds value on both ends. When the Minnesota Timberwolves tasked him to be their savior, that plan was doomed from the start. Years later, though, when the Golden State Warriors sought him out to be a high-end complementary piece, he arguably became the second most important player on their 2021-22 title team. He is a top-shelf defensive stopper with the quickness to stay in front of guards and the length to bother big wings. He's also an efficient tertiary scorer who might underwhelm on some nights, but pleasantly surprise with a 25-plus point outburst on others. In the end, his nightly allotment of points usually hovers in the high teens, a fine number for someone who isn't a first or second option. The Heat just happen to have clear needs for what he brings, and they might quietly be ready to scale their way up this wide-open Eastern Conference. A top-4 finish is within reach if everything breaks right, and he'd play a massively pivotal role in that kind of ascension. If Miami winds up spinning its tires instead, the point guard position could be fatally flawed. Then the Heat will hit the trade market with Wiggins again being central to their plans. Big wing defenders who are even passable offensive players always have a market, plus his $28.2 million salary, which could be expiring depending his handling of a $30.2 million player option for 2026-27 per Spotrac, would almost certainly be needed to make the money work on any sort of blockbuster exchange. One way or another, Wiggins will play an essential role. No one can question Dwayne Wade's legacy. He is one of the greatest to ever play in the NBA, and is certainly among the greatest shooting guards of all time. He's, without question, the greatest player in Miami Heat history, the most significant player in the history of the franchise, playing a huge role in winning all 3 of their championships. But as the years have gone by, Wade has become more and more underrated, with his days as the number 1 option of a championship-winning Heat team fading in the memory of many. Replacing those memories are the more everlasting moments of him playing the Robin to LeBron James Batman in the 2010s, and him, despite being a productive player still from 2014 until his retirement in 2019, no longer being an all-star caliber player. Wade, however, wants to remind everyone that he was on the fast track to ascension, perhaps even all the way towards Michael Jordan status, before his faulty knees cut his MVP-level prime short. They don't understand my game. They don't know what I did. I'm not the greatest shooter of all time, but I was great at so many things so nobody knows how to break down my game, so they look over it. I did so many things in the game of basketball. When I had it, I had it. Before injuries, I'm like, MJ, I'm coming for you. Wade said in an appearance on Carmelo Anthony's 7 p.m. in Brooklyn podcast presented by Wave Sports Plus Entertainment. Heat legend Dwayne Wade won, and won big. Indeed, Wade quickly ascended into superstar status after he was drafted 5th overall by the Heat in the 2003 NBA draft. He already won a title in his 3rd season, securing his legacy as one of the greatest winners of the sport early on in his career. Wade peaked during the 2008-2009 season when he averaged 30.2 points, 5.0 rebounds, and 7.5 assists per game, finishing 3rd in the MVP voting. But from there, it was a gradual decline for Wade, only getting a new lease in life when he recruited James and Chris Bosh to help him win titles in South Beach, which they did, doing so in 2012 and 2013. Wade had to adjust to being the second option after being the focal point for around 6 to 7 years of his career to that point. In the end, he did take a backseat to James, who ascended to another level during the 2012-13 season, and this contributes to him being underrated by millions of fans. Rumors have been swirling around the future of Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James, and whether he might look for a trade from the franchise he joined back in the summer of 2018. While James is still a top 10-ish player in the NBA, he's no longer the athlete he was during his prime years with the Miami Heat, when he tortured the Atlanta Hawks repeatedly as a fellow member of the Southeast Division. One person who knows all too well about that portion of James' career is former Hawks point guard Jeff Teague, who was swept by James in 3 straight seasons when LeBron was a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Recently, Teague leveled a shocking accusation about James regarding his time with the Heat. They started testing for HGH, and he had to sit out. He said his back was hurting and he sat out for 3 weeks, then came back skinny, claimed Teague, via his Club 520 podcast per Full Court Pass on X, formerly Twitter. It's unclear what sources Teague has to back up the brazen claim, but it would certainly be quite the development if it turned out to be true. James has long been regarded as one of the, if not the greatest, athletes in the history of the sport, boasting a nearly unstoppable combination of size, strength, speed, and leaping ability that has allowed him to torture opposing teams throughout his career. All of those traits reached their apex for James during his stint with the Miami Heat, when he was unquestionably the best player in the league and led Miami to 4 straight NBA Finals appearances, winning 2 of them. While James is not the same athlete today that he was in his Heat years, he is still by far the most athletic 40-year-old to play in the NBA, or perhaps any sport. Up to this point, there's been no evidence to back the claim of James taking performance enhancers. The Denver Nuggets and Miami Heat have had their fair share of heated moments in recent memory. However, the hard fouls from Nikola Jokic and Markieff Morris in 2021 on one another sparked their rivalry. NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal spoke with Morris about the play, questioning whether or not the foul was dirty. He argued against what Morris did against Jokic. While the 2-time MVP is not a dirty player, Jokic is definitely a physical one. His passing and shooting ability are his calling cards. However, the Serbian superstar is a capable bruiser, setting the tone for Denver down low. The physicality he plays with has led to multiple confrontations throughout his career, including the one with Morris in 2021. At the time, Morris was a role player on a Heat team coming off a deep playoff run. Miami's success relied on their toughness, and their entire roster embodied their rough style of play. In O'Neal's opinion, though, the contact between Morris and Jokic was unnecessary. The former Lakers center defended Denver's big man on Wednesday's episode of The Big Podcast with Shaq. "I know, but you're my boy," O'Neal told Morris. "And I know if I hit you, you're going to hit me back, and I know if you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. So if you hit him first, and he hits you back, that's a cheap shot." "If he hit me from behind, I think that's a cheap shot," Morris said, defending himself. "I'm physically walking away, so I'm not even in the mode of knowing you're about to hit me. It's like a car crash." Jokic and the Nuggets got their revenge against the Heat in the 2023 NBA Finals. Denver beat Miami 4-1 in that series to help their center secure the first title of his career. However, the clash between him and Morris is near the top of the list of instances where an opposing player challenged Jokic physically.